Hey guys, this is OddOneGaming. This is going to be another Dragonheir Selling Gods video. In today's video, I'm going to show you my team for the Temporal Vortex, currently on difficulty number 3. That's going to be using an Ice Blast team, right? I never had a builder before, so this is quite exciting to show you this team because at least at this point in the season, it kind of looks like Ice Blast teams are number one. You're going to see some wild teams as well, but up until the point where you can have a perfect full 5-man synergy, Ice Blast is going to be the king, so let's get into this one. Now, as always, before I jump into the video, I do want to mention that if you want to support me as a content creator, you see the code up there, OddOne. You can redeem that by going to the events tab. Bottom left behind me is going to be bonus event. And then you can go over here to click on this one, link to content creators and claim rewards. By doing this, as soon as you linked it, you get these free rewards. But then also you can DM me on Discord and I have 12 promo codes for everybody, right? If you haven't used the promo codes from different CCs, you're going to get yourself 4 Healer Light, 600 Warm Arrow, Starlight Gold, you know, lots of free stuff. So make sure you support me so I can give you all of that free stuff. And if you do decide to spend in the game, I get like 2% out of it, but I never encourage people to spend. So, you know, just wanted to throw that out there to be as transparent as possible. But let's have a look at the team because you know what? I'm excited. It's fun. And you know what? Ice Blasts are pretty interesting. I guess let's run it. Let's run this team while we talk about it. But the reality is that this team for Ice Blast has kind of like the perfect synergy. Obviously, if you have the supports for it, this is kind of like maybe the best or like second best possibility. Let me just have a look at something because I was testing something with Gillian, but I did not see exactly if that one works as intended when it comes to her talent. So let me see. Okay, she places that. Okay, I think it does actually do that, right? I think it does, or does it not, or it just does it for herself. But pretty much, this team is using Sheena as the number one, honestly, for enabling, in the sense of she brings a ton of ice crystals, she brings witches remains, all the cool stuff. Then we have Zorak, which brings lots of damage, again, more ice crystals, more damage himself. And then obviously the MVP of this fight is going to be Beldel. I mean, you see the damage difference up there at the top, right? Just Beldel does almost 8 to 10 times more than the next ones. So that's, you know, that's just the beauty of it because of how crazy her damage can be. And then for support, I chose to go with Gillian and then with Mithrasia. Now, I do have, not Mithrasia, sorry, Felocia, right? I do have Mithrasia as well on my account, but I think these two work better together because Felocia brings one of the best things for these types of fights, and those are going to be the shields, right, paired with the Aurelian Vest. And then what Gillian brings to us is massive heals. She also brings ourselves the debuff removal, right? Because the boss, starting from 3rd difficulty, she puts defense penalty, which you want to cleanse that. So she's really good for that. And obviously increased defense as well as an AoE thing. So it's kind of like the perfect team, and it's a really fun team, right? It's a really fun team. Plus, it's perfect because it does have the 5-man synergy, right? Because this season, Ice and Radiance are part of the pairing. So even though we have Gillian that's not part of the ice one, the way that you would want her to go would be every 20 seconds, and that one works just fine because of the fact that the boss's full rotation is 20 seconds, and you kind of want Gillian to go at specific times every 20 seconds to cleanse the debuff and land the increased defense. Whereas somebody like Felocia, you can have her go more often to put more shields, to put the increased defense from her battle skill, to put damage reduction. You know, she brings a pretty amazing kit. So having her go like kind of like all over the place is better. What I mean by all over the place? Well, Felocia pretty much goes every 18 seconds because she's the one that in this team is wearing the Puppeteer's Inspiration set for me, which allows all the other 4 Ice Blast people to go on an 18-second rotation. That's really important because you know what? This season there's so many pieces of gear, so many sets, so many things to enable kind of like your main damage dealer that it becomes a little bit difficult, a little bit hard to be able to, you know, do the right stuff. So you're going to see that, for example, Felocia has Puppeteer, like I mentioned. Then Gillian has the Ancestral Protection. Then we have Sheena, which is going to be an Emissary's Whisper. And then I think I even have Zorak in the Brotherhood Spirit so that he enables Beldel. The way that most of these fights go, in case you didn't realize yet, but most of the time the Vortex fights are all revolving around one specific premium legendary, right? One of the exclusive legendaries that's going to do the most damage, and everything else around the team is to enable that one, right? That's why in this case, you see such a massive difference. Everything I'm doing with this team is to enable my, my Beldel to do as much damage as she possibly can. And you know what? She's not disappointing, right? Considering I don't have her with her exclusive artifact, considering I don't have her inspired or anything, Beldel does pretty good, right? It's pretty good. And again, it does a little bit better than Wild for me because I don't have Chrysos, and up until we get further in the season when we have the better perfect builds, or maybe it's gonna work Wild with Narrow, I'm gonna do a comparison with, you know, Ice Blast versus Wild in the next few days to see which one does better. But as of now, I do believe that earlier in the season, earlier in the, you know, in this game at the beginning of the season, you're going to be doing a lot better with Ice Blast because it's easier to keep them alive. Whereas for Wild, you kind of need 4 damage dealers and just one support. It becomes tough. Even though, you know, by having 4 Wilds, Flora has a higher cap, it's going to be a little bit more difficult. But as you can see, 294 million. This is a pretty respectable damage. I'm really happy with this. 73% from Beldel, 13.5 Zorak, 13 Sheena, and then obviously almost no damage from the other two because they're just the support. Now, let's have a look at the skill timings. So for the skill timings, you're going to see the 4 Frost people, right? Ice people, Sheena, Zorak, Beldel, and Felocia all go at 18 seconds. Then you're going to see that she does initially, whenever she does, right? Felocia can do her initial ultimate as soon as possible because that doesn't really matter. Because if she is a little bit earlier than everybody else, or a little bit later, is how you want it, that means she's always going to be boosting their ultimate energy, so everybody goes on that 18-second rotation. Then the way you want them to go is Zorak first, second Sheena, because you want to get that damage up to all Ice Blast people. So before Sheena starts doing these 12 hits, put Zorak, so at 12, 12.2 Sheena, and then I put at 13, or maybe can go 13.5 just to be safe, Beldel, because you want her to do her ultimate and then all the other hits afterwards. You want to make sure those happen after your Sheena has landed the defense penalty from the Witch's Remains. And then when we're looking at Gillian, the way that I have Gillian is at every 20 seconds, right, the full rotation Vortex, but initial at 21.4. Why is 21.4 that number? Well, the reason for the 21.4 is because that's a good enough time for her to dispel that one debuff, which is going to be the defense penalty, and put the defense up so it covers you for most of the fight. Because if you do it at 21.4, let me just show you, right? Let's just run over it a bit. If you do it at 21.4, you're going to be covered for the ultimate, for the first AoE, and then for the single target hit. Let me just show you exactly how it goes. Okay, so you see, we go just before the boss does a hit. You do the cleansing, boss hits. Then this one's he does the first AoE. We still have the defense penalty. You can see that, even though sometimes Philosophy can replace, and you see we still have the defense increase. We still have it for the single target hit. So that's why 21.4 is kind of like the key one. This is the same principle that you would use in other teams. If you have somebody that you want to land attack penalty, that's the only person in the team that does that. 21.4 is the right time, right? 21.4 is the specific right time for something like this. But let's have a look at the builds, right? Let's have a look at the builds. Let's have a look at the talents. Even though, again, this team is not done. It's not perfect. It's just whatever I had right now, that's what I used. It's, you know, still need some talents. As you're going to see, I'm missing a ton, right? No max talents over here. But when it comes to talents, you're going to see I started with Zorak. I guess for him, I would try to go with something similar to Beldel, right? So Beldel is more attack over here than this side, this side, this side. I'm still going to be experimenting, still testing. It might be better to grab this one instead, right? So, you know, it's still a work in progress, but for now, this is what I'm using. This is Zorak, Sheena, same principle. Then Gillian. So for Gillian, this is what I tested, but it doesn't look like it worked, right? So it says, after hitting the target to full HP, grants them hit recovery for 5 seconds. I didn't see that happening, because if the hit recovery was landed, it should be a little bit of healing to everybody, and that should actually trigger the Solar King's Horn. But I did not see the damage boost from the Solar King Horn, so I don't get it. Maybe I misunderstood it. Maybe this is just for herself. I don't know. Maybe I didn't see it, but that's why I chose to go this way. Otherwise, you'd go either at the top or at the bottom, maybe at the top for better healing. And then for my Felocia, you see I'm on the top side. And then I think the last one would just be either the top, right, to be able to remove more defense penalty, but you don't really need it because Gillian does it. So because of that, you would maybe go over to Golden Touch. But let's have a look at the gear. So when it comes to the gear, like I mentioned, we have Velocia in a Puppeteer's Inspiration, right, with as much enlightenment as I possibly can. And then obviously Aurelian Vest is going to be the best one because she puts shields, which means the boss is going to do a lot less damage against us. Then if we look at Gillian, she's going to be again with enlightenment. You want defense percent, right, because she's going to have a ton of HP, and on Vortex stage 3 and 4, the boss does more damage to you as the fight goes on, the more HP you have. So you'd prefer to scale up as much enlightenment and defense as possible, and then just make sure she has the highest amount of HP. Obviously, this one you want to keep enlightenment, but with defense percent, this one you want to have defense, but I don't have one, so you know, I'm just using what I have. And then, like I mentioned, Solar Kinghorn to try and pair with that talent. Now, again, I didn't see exactly if it worked or not, but I'm going to be testing more, and I'm going to be coming back once I try to like perfect the team with the video on that one. Then if we move over to Sheena, Sheena's going to be in Witch's Remains with, like I said, Emissary's Whisper, and then I also gave her a crit rate glove in the Strike the Unprepared, so we do 30% more damage against targets that defense penalty, which she's going to be the one landing. Then if you look at Zorak, Zorak is, like I mentioned, Brotherhood Spirit with attack percent, crit rate, and then again as much crit rate, crit damage, and attack as I possibly can get. Crit damage over here, I don't have the perfect one. I would like attack or defense over here. Attack would be ideal so that we do more damage. And then for the artifact, I went with Silver Star Horseshoe. Now, the reason for that is because I don't have Beldel's exclusive. If I had Beldel's exclusive, then Bloons of Prina would be moved over to Zorak. Because I don't have it, I just went with a Horseshoe. You can just go with whatever's other your best artifact. I haven't tested Whisper of the Consumer this time around to see if it's better. If this one is, I'm gonna test it again. I'm gonna show you once I come back based on my testing how this one works. But for now, you know, Horseshoe does just fine. And then the MVP of this fight is going to be, like I mentioned, Sheena. Oh yeah, and again, he also has a Strike the Unprepared, so does more damage. But the MVP, obviously Beldel, she has a crit damage glove in the Strike the Unprepared. I wish this roll went to the crit rate, but you know what, it works just fine. Then attack percent chest in the Imposing Presence, because as you noticed, most of the fight we're going to be at 100% HP. Because of that reason, 25% more damage is going to be massive boost as opposed to anything else that we can get in there, right? So definitely Imposing Presence in teams with big shields is going to be the number one. Then I do have a Fearless Challenge Helmet because we're going to do 16% more damage. And then for the weapon, I have Chaos Symbiosis. Now, I'm using Chaos Symbiosis because this is the best I have. And I think this one gives us another 18 if it counts herself. If not, then 12% more attack. However, I would prefer to not have this. I would normally use a Bloodshade Mark if I had a better version. Why is that? I mentioned in the previous video. Bloodshade Mark says that at the start of the battle, the wearer gains an attack bonus equal to 20% of the attack of the ally with the highest attack, excluding the wearer. Obviously, if Beldel has the highest attack, it's not going to gain that. So if we do a little bit of math, for example, this one, let's say, gives 18%. Let's put it like, I don't know, 20% per school. That would be just 20% of our total, so that would be another 300 attack, something like that. Whereas the other one, the Bloodshade Mark, 20% of the attack, because it says at the start of the battle, which means out of the total attack. I'm not sure if this one is the same, but you know what? Even if it's the same, out of the total attack, 18% would be just based off of hers, whereas the Bloodshade Mark is 20% of the ally with the highest attack, where, you know what, you might have something like, I don't know, 6,000 attack, right? So if you calculate 6,000 attack on somebody like Azor, let me see, how much does he actually have? 5,200. Let's put it 5,000. Beldel would get 500, would get 1,000 more attack because of the attack that Zorak has, and that would be just massive, right? It's massive gains from that, so that's why you want to choose that. And like I mentioned, just Bloons of Prina for the artifact. If you have the exclusive artifact, 100% go with the exclusive, but because I don't have it, I just chose to go with Bloons of Prina, and it was just fine. And obviously, crit damage here if you have. I didn't have a good enough one yet. Attack over here, you see again, it's not perfect, still work in progress, but Ice Blast is fun, man. It's so fun, it's so amazing. I'm definitely loving this, and you know, I hope this helped you, right? I hope this helped you understand how you can build this team, how you can be able to do the best possible damage with your Ice Blast team. Again, once I'm gonna get to the point where hopefully I'm gonna perfect it, I'm gonna make another video on it, so definitely keep an eye out on the channel for that. But up until then, thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel to see when I upload next, and I'm gonna see you on the next one. Peace, love, take care, run. Bye, guys.